Okay, so for the intro quote, I was going to pull a Toomey quote from Langoliers, but they were all terrible, and
The
his
whole movie's terrible.
his overacting did not fit for the intro, so I'm going to do Carrie instead.
Okay.
Pot it up. Pot it up. Is that a good one? This is Watchers on the Couch. And we are back for the 10th episode.
Oh, I didn't notice you were wearing the shirt.
I am wearing, for the listeners who can't see me right now, I'm wearing a sweet shirt
It is sweet.
from the ending of the movie version of The Shining, where Wendy looks in a room and sees two gentlemen, we assume, one in a creepy bear costume, which is the shirt I have, the other one a finely dressed gentleman sitting on a bed. They're getting ready to do something weird together. We are not getting ready to do something weird. We're getting ready to podcast for the 10th time, 11th if you count the intro episode, about Castle Rock.
Yay.
Which I don't know why you would be listening to the finale episode first.
I know, we've talked about this. Go back.
We keep talking about it, but we might as well introduce ourselves for the people that are stragglers, I guess. My name is Chris.
My name is Debbie.
And you are Debbie. That is correct.
I jumped the gun.
Oh, there's no organized fashion to that. It's been different every week, I think. So
I'm glad your cup's in front of your shirt because I have a feeling I would be distracted.
Oh,
by
I'm
your-
moving it.
Oh.
Actually, I'm not moving it
Just
because
gonna
I don't know
stare.
where. If I set it there to my right, it has the danger of the cat.
Yes.
If I set it over there, it's too far for me to reach it. And I know this is super interesting to people, so we are going to move on. First thing we're going to cover before we get to the episode is, where is it in my notes? Here we go. I ordered a new book of Stephen King's that he wrote along with Richard Chismar. It is titled Gwendy's Button Box. It is a novella. And
Is Gwendy the name?
Gwendy is a name. It's
Is
a
it
very
short?
interesting name.
Is it short for Gwendolyn?
It's a combination of Wendy and Gwendolyn.
Oh.
It's addressed in the book.
Okay.
So you can read it and find out for yourself.
Oh.
No, it was a really interesting read. Where do you think this takes place at?
Maine?
Castle Rock.
Oh.
In particular. That was a nice surprise. A couple things out of this book. Bridget Desjardins is in this book.
We know that last name.
Right, exactly. People that watch this show and listen to this podcast should know that last name from, I think, like episode 5 or something.
Which it never got explained, really,
No, it didn't.
who that guy was.
One
If
of the many things that go
he meant
unexplained.
anything.
This book kind of takes place in like the late 70s, and I should mention that also Sheriff George Bannerman from Cujo, and there's at least one other book he's in. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's also referenced in this. So
Why did he write it with somebody else?
I didn't actually look into it, but he recently wrote a book alongside his son as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like he collaborates well with other writers because this came out just sounding like a Stephen King book. So it shouldn't deter anyone from checking it out. Again,
Nice and thin. It looks like a quick one.
yeah, it's a novella. It's like 100 and something pages, but I was able to read it in like, a day or two. You could probably, I know a speed reader, like you could get this done in probably like a few hours. Again, it's called Gwendy's Button Box, so you can order that on Amazon Prime, and it'll get to you like in a day or something.
It's a very odd title.
It is, but it's what the button box is, what the entire story is centered around. So
I know, but Gwendy's button box
Gwendy's, yeah, it's just a
sounds
weird
kind
name.
of dirty.
Okay, I didn't know we were going there. Back to Mark Bernardin. We asked him about the RV, or at least I did, because I'm controlling things like that, I guess.
Well, you Twitter.
Yeah, I Twitter.
I don't
that's right.
Twitter.
So I reached out to Mark again. I asked him about the RV. I actually have the exact quote on my phone, so let me pull it up real quick.
Pause. I like how you're using a hold slip from the library as
Yeah.
a note thing.
Oh, I use it for notes. I use it for bookmarks. So that's why I end up writing notes on it, because I'm reading and using it as a bookmark. Do you guys have those at yours?
No, we don't. I don't know why we do it this way, but it prints out a receipt label, which we then disregard and put our own sheet on and just write the numbers
That
on the
seems, weird.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, it's the Jeffco Library. You guys are different. It's nice though. At least the one that you work at is nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
I visited I guess it was a few years ago now, but the one that's in Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's next to where the new Jeffco is there or something.
Yeah, well, they built the library and then they built the community center attached to it. So
Yeah.
they have like the swimming pool in there too.
Oh my gosh.
And then, yeah.
So you can
and
read books and
Jeffco-
then go swimming?
Yeah, they have problems with their seats getting wet and like moldy
Oh,
because people go
no.
straight from the swimming pool and sit down on upholstered seats
I'm going to guess.
in a library, which is where you want to be with books, like just completely sopping wet.
I'm going to guess that people walk in there without their shoes on all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it drives people insane. It would also drive me insane. Also, I don't want to sit on a moldy seat. So
No. I mean, can you imagine sitting down and just being like, why is this wet?
This is a terrible experience. Nobody likes to sit on something wet.
No. So
That brings me back to the Twitter. At Mark Bernardin, Castle Rock question again. We were wondering, how did the RV get into the woods? It looks very nice and had no damage from trees/foliage, but there doesn't seem to be any clear roads or gravel paths to where it is parked. Love the show. Thank you for reading. Mark replied about, I guess it was the next morning. He replied with one word, carefully. So,
I mean, what more could you ask for?
I mean, I feel like that did away with all of our questions about the RV.
I mean, because any question you have, you can respond with carefully.
Well, I mean,
How did it get there? Carefully. Why isn't it scratched? Well, they were careful.
yeah, exactly.
You know, it just
But, well,
blanket answer.
Let's not dig any further into that. Let's just move on.
Okay, so in this episode, well, no, maybe it was a flat. I don't know. They showed the paintings again in this episode.
In the beginning montage.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're so close. I'm like, all of these are close-ups.
Exactly. So, but he said he didn't actually know. So that's
Yeah.
just kind of the tried and true method, is to CG stuff when it's far away, paint it when it's normal or whatever for a painting. But yeah, we'll never actually know that answer, I don't think. Okay, so let's get to some listener contributions this week. I posted on the Couch for Watchers Facebook group. It's a private group. If you're coming to the show late and you just happen upon our show late, you can always join, post something in there, and we'll check it out, and we'll message you months later. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I had to be very picky because we got, including our contributions in the conversation, there was like 70 comments in all. So I had to be very picky about what I'm including today. So sorry for those I left out. But Sarah, who we love, of course. Sarah, we love you. She brought up the kid and the noise.
Yeah.
And she asked, how does he know about the noise, or does he? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
But he does.
He does, and Tim actually chimed in after that, and I think they maybe have watched some more together and realized, oh yeah, he listened to all those tapes.
Yeah.
in the garage.
Thousands of them.
Exactly. So, and that's going to come into play later on in this episode as well. But, yeah, it's still pretty unclear whether he hears it or not. I mean, depending on what you think about this episode, he may or may not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Let's see here. Yeah, she also mentioned that the kid was copying Reverend Deaver's words a lot in episode 9 as well. And that is going to come back in episode 10 too. Mm-hmm. But very strange exact wording between the two that she thought we should, at least bring up again. And I agree. It definitely hit me weird that he was saying things almost exactly the same.
But it makes sense now.
And but that could also go back to listening to the tapes as well. Mm-hmm. So, and then Tim's theory was that all of this, that the town was not inherently evil, and that nobody on the show is inherently evil. This is before we watch episode 10. Mm-hmm. It's just the imbalance of the dimensions because these people are in the wrong dimensions. That is if you believed Kid's story.
Yeah, which I do. So I agree with that.
Okay. Well, I did. And I believe that my stuff has changed now. But we will get to that when we get to that. That is the end of the listener contributions. Thank you. Let's pause for a second.
Paused.
I just want to thank everybody that contributed and talked to us on the boards and stuff.
Yeah, because they had some great ideas and thoughts.
We had people message us, like Jacole, who I did not know before we started the show. You know what I mean?
Bringing people together.
And then the random one who just posted one message and then never replied anything after that.
I know. Where'd they go?
Can't remember his name. Where'd he go? Where did she go? I don't know.
Just disappeared.
Just gone. So, anyway, I just want to send...
They ran into the schisma.
Yeah, exactly.
They're in a different timeline.
Who even knows at this point? Okay, so heartfelt thank you to everyone. We are going to do the drawing at the end of the episode as well. So stay tuned for that. For the people that are qualified for it, I should say. Mm-hmm. And again, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We love that people actually gave a shit and talked to us. Because we could just be talking to each other.
And that's totally fine. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed talking to you as well, but at the same time, when we throw stuff up online, I would like some participation, and that happened.
Yay.
We didn't even have to beg or anything. So
bribe.
We did give them some. Yeah, exactly. Well, we didn't. We gave them some incentive. We'll say that, so that it's not.
Maybe
illegal.
We did bribe
a little bit in a fashion. Anyway, I think that's it. Oh, also, before we get any further, want to mention we're recording back in my apartment again because I'm a dummy, and on the last recording day, I forgot the Zoom recorder. Without it, we can't do this. So
it would just be talking to each other.
It would, on a cell phone, and it would sound awful. So we relocated at a moment's notice. Here we are.
We're giving Ash a second chance.
Oh, yeah,
which he's failing
right now.
at.
He's very scared.
Yeah.
He actually should be, though, because he's been very bad the past couple of days.
I saw that. He's been getting on counters.
He's getting on the kitchen counter a lot. He's eating things that are up there that he should not be. Bananas. He's eating.
Cats like bananas.
Without peeling it.
Well.
He just ate through it.
Because they make a lot of cat medication banana flavored.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if his... this is also super interesting, I'm sure. But I'm not sure if his medicine food is very good or not because he's eating things that aren't food.
No, he's like, fuck this shit.
Also, this morning, she texted me and said that he pooped next to the litter box and not inside of it. So...
As one does.
Awesome.
Was there a nugget in there that he was mad about?
I have no idea, but...
Because I love when they do that.
Well, all that to say, Ash has a chance to retake the competition here. He was at one point tied for first, right?
Either
that or second.
Second.
Anyway,
Venom's had a commanding lead
right now
for the majority of the time.
Unless Ash just decides to go completely insane, which he does, and he can.
I welcome it. I want to see it.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, we've spent long enough doing that stuff. Let's get to the episode. Entitled Romans. Did you have any thoughts before we even start? Because there's been last couple episodes, you're like, okay, so what did you think? Blah, blah, blah. Or do you just want to get right into it?
Well, okay, so I will say the first time I watched it, I didn't take notes because I wanted to watch it a second time and take notes.
And you had the time to do so.
Yeah, so the first time I watched it, I only was writing down my comments as I was like seeing it happen. So I have those at the top. I don't really have any more theories because I felt like going into it, I believed the kid. So I went into it thinking he's telling the truth.
Okay.
And so I have compassion for him.
Yeah.
And this episode just...
I think the things... Well, I know you definitely have compassion for him, his character, and for the actor himself.
And
so,
yeah.
So, like...
But after
it might skew your perspective on what happens in this episode. We'll discuss it, of course, but...
I have very strong opinions on Henry now.
Okay. Well, let's get into this, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do the breakdown. So... we're back to our kid in the cage. This is how the episode opens. Okay, so Lacey gives food to the kid, and Lacey's kind of on his way out of his job. So this is a flashback to one of the opening scenes of the series.
First we see Henry at the courthouse, though, again.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Because it starts with Henry at the courthouse because he's talking about how much doubt is reasonable for you
there was that whole...
send somebody to death. And he's like, for me, it would have to be in gold, signed by God, to kill someone.
Yeah.
Which, when we get to the end of the episode...
Yeah, that actually fits pretty...
doesn't really follow that anymore.
But, his perspective on... what the kid changes by the end of the episode as well, though. He's not the same Henry as before, you know what I mean? He changes sort of throughout this episode.
He's eaten the cake from the town of...
Yeah. Very passionate about this. Okay, so... Yeah, for some reason I didn't include the Henry thing because I thought it was part of the preview.
And then it turned into the recap, but they focused on that one particular thing that he was talking about.
They made it clear to...
Yeah, which when you watch it a second time, you're like, he's literally talking about what they did, like Lacey and then his dad and the other timeline, like what they did.
Yeah. But there's something that happens... in this episode that makes him specifically change how he feels about imprisoning someone. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll get to it. I promise we'll discuss it. I want to do it in order because that's how my brain works for this show.
Oh, and it was at this point when we saw the recap that I wrote down, do you think the kid killed that dude in the woods? Because our possible suspects, I feel like, are the kid, Molly, and the Culkin boy.
You mean the kid killed Odin, you mean?
Yeah.
Now I do, yes.
Because I wrote that down like almost immediately because I was like, oh shit, what if he's the one that
I thought
killed
it was
him?
the Culkin kid.
But that would mean he actually killed somebody. Because he hasn't actually killed anybody. He's just like touching.
Right.
and spreading cancer. And fires are just breaking out around him.
Right. I thought it was the Culkin brother before this, but now I definitely think it's him.
The kid?
Yes. For sure. But that's never proven, so...
No, I see how I'm flipping back and forth on that. I still think maybe Molly did it.
Yeah. I'm pretty positive she didn't. But...
She's badass. She fucking offed the dad.
Yeah.
Pulled the plug.
I suppose, but,
maybe she was acting through Henry again. Because remember when she did it, she did it to kill Pastor Deaver. And she said it wasn't really her doing it.
Yeah,
so maybe
I didn't think about
it was Henry working through her again. when she was on her way to
trying
save
to
him.
escape from the
Well,
RV.
because when she went to save him, he was like, "Well, you got to kill that dude,"
Mm-hmm.
and then they did it together.
It's certainly
Air
possible.
quotes.
I'm still leaning towards the kid because of things that happened in this episode.
I don't know. He's never actually killed anybody. That's all I'm saying.
I have a theory about that. Okay, so let's see. Lacey's on his way out, like I
Yes.
said. This is the scene that we saw before. He's, but not to this extent, right? He pulls a gun on the kid, and the kid looks eager about
Yeah,
it.
he looks ready to die.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's been 27 years. Let's just do this.
And, it's like he's happy about any time death is around. You know what I mean? It's like he enjoys it.
Well,
So-
I don't think he enjoys it. I think he's just waiting for it now.
No, yeah, I mean, if
Because he's not aging. Aging's not going to kill him.
you got to look at the kid, there's two ways you can look at the kid now at this point. Is that he is just the kid who came across from the other dimension, or he's inherently evil. He's some kind of creature that has supernatural powers that is able to make this crazy shit happen. Those are the two lanes you could take on this, I think. And I'm leaning more towards he's some kind of supernatural being.
No, I'm on Team Kid.
I know you're on Team Kid. I know, but we're gonna be constantly doing that.
Yeah.
we're gonna look at it from both sides because that's the two ways you could probably take this. And they left it ambiguous. So, okay, so then there's a montage with some old blues music behind it. We see ghostly Shawshank prisoners being shuffled onto a bus.
Yeah, new warden watches.
Right.
Well, I guess, is she really a warden anymore if all the prisoners are leaving?
She's getting ready to be shipped out. So
I don't think she's got a job anymore.
in the montage, we see the kid paintings again, like we said. Wendell is getting off a bus.
Jackie's at the crime scene.
Yep. Henry is running from the cops at said crime scene. And then that's where we switch to a scene between the kid and Molly.
Which I was confused when we saw Wendell getting off the bus. Because the last time we saw Wendell, he got off the bus and just started running.
Yeah, I think they sort of reversed back a little bit in the story,
Okay.
in the timeline, because we already saw them at the crime scene too. So it's sort of like, okay, let's move back here a little bit.
To show where we were.
Yeah, exactly. Before the storytelling.
Like, did he get on a new bus? Where is
Yeah.
this bus coming from?
No, I think it's the same
Okay.
bus, same deboarding or whatever you call it.
Okay.
Okay, so the kid needs Molly's help to get Henry to go out to the woods with him. To the doorway in the woods, quote unquote. And Molly's very doubtful. And he says bring Henry to Harmony Hill, which is the cemetery.
Yes.
This is where I was asking, is he telling the truth
Yes.
about all his story? And you say yes.
Oh, and then Molly asks the most heartbreaking question you can ever ask. Like, she did not need to hear this answer. Because
Yeah.
she asks, how was I over there? And he says, happier.
Right.
Which is the worst thing somebody could say to you.
Exactly.
Like, oh, great. This other version of me, apparently, is
Just
just
having a great time.
a happier version. She's not having to buy drugs from children.
Yeah. No, but I just had a very bad feeling about whatever the situation between the kid and Henry is going to be. It's the natural progression of things of where the show's going, them coming together again, of course, but when they do, things go fucking crazy. So, actually, anytime the kid is around anybody, shit goes crazy. So, anyway, Molly sends a phone message to Henry. You see Henry driving his car in the snow. Then a swarm of birds, of course, fucking birds again, swarms
not?
his car, and he runs into a pile of stuff that's just in the street.
Some bricks and
There's
lumber.
just some lumber in the street. Why? I don't understand why they put it in the street, but hey, listen.
Because you don't want to ruin your grass.
I guess, but who's doing carpentry in the snow? in
Well,
that
it wasn't
weather?
snowy yet.
Oh,
To be
okay.
fair, it was not snowy when he ran into it.
Yeah, but the goddamn birds. You know?
Yeah, I wrote when birds attack.
Yeah, so obviously there's more birds already showing up, and that's always a harbinger of bad things about to happen, so we can look forward to that. Then we get Molly driving, and she sees Ruth on the side of the bridge again.
Damn Ruth.
You think-
Okay, I have major theories about Ruth.
Okay, let's describe the scene first, though.
Okay.
Okay, so she knows that Alan is dead,
Mm-hmm.
but she also knows that he's alive other times.
Mm-hmm.
She's still living the way we experienced her a couple of episodes ago, right?
Yeah.
So Molly uses the kid's story of Ruth leaving town with Alan, and that kind of snaps her back to and says, "That's the first time you've said that."
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing that is, not
Not
really
explained.
ever explained. And, there's definitely some different ways you could go about that. But what's your theory on her?
So I have, ever since we had the episode The Queen,
Yep.
that was entirely Ruth's episode, and it was very confusing because she was like going in, like flashing in between different, times in her life,
Mhm.
and we were like, what the fuck's going on? But it really bothered me when she was talking to Wendell and explaining how she remembered things. And let's see.
You mean like when she grabs the chess pieces and that reminds her where she is?
Yes, because she talks about hold on, let's see. She talks about how sorry, this is good for a podcast.
No, it's okay. You gotta, I was actually gonna mention that I have something like
Oh,
50 or 60 pages of notes that we only used that one time and I never went back to.
yeah.
But, there's so many notes between us that when you try to go and back and sift through them, it is a process.
Yeah, it really is. And damn it, I was just looking at it.
Would you like me to
yesterday.
pause?
Well, you can talk. Keep talking.
Okay, so we're doing a cat check.
Okay, here it is.
Oh, all right. I was going to do a cat check. That's all I could think of to do. Okay, so what is it? It's a snort count.
Oh, all right. Oh, man, don't get me going on that.
I don't know if we had any other ones. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So it really bothered me when Ruth was talking to him about, like, the chess pieces because they were missing. And so she was like, can I tell you a secret? And she tells him that it's her way out of the woods. And, like, yeah, she could have meant that figuratively.
Yeah.
But just all the weird stuff going on with her and the way she says things and views her reality, I almost feel like she is able to jump back and forth between the different dimensions.
Mm.
That's almost what I feel like. And that's why she's so confused, because in one timeline, she's living the perfect life with Alan.
Yeah, I think...
And in a different one, she's not. Because then, let's see. Because Wendell calls her a time walker.
Uh-huh.
And she says she's got to stay sharp. So when we get to her talking on the bridge again with Molly, and she's like talking about how, like, oh, you've never said that before, and
About Alan and Ruth being down in Florida or whatever.
right. I feel like, and she said, because she says, he's alive, he's dead. Other times, different things are happening or something. It zigs and zags. Alan's dead. He's alive. We've been here before. We'll be here again. We've been here on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You always say that, like, just get down or whatever. And then she talks about Matthew and she says, well, that's the first time you said that. So it almost feels to me like she's not staying in her realm.
Yeah, no, she's... if she's...
And I don't think it's the...
If she's a time walker or whatever, she could be more whole.
And that's
than
why
any
she
of the...
sees the dog.
Yeah, she's not as split as the other characters are between the two dimensions. She is one whole thing that is walking between both of them and living both of them at the same time.
Yes. So I feel like she doesn't have, what did they say she has? Fuck.
Alzheimer's?
Yes, Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
I just think that she just can't stay in one place. Like, maybe she doesn't have control over it, you
Yeah.
know. and that's why she's putting the chess pieces. Because if she puts the chess pieces in this reality, she knows where she's at.
Well, I gotta say, I don't have a solid theory on any of the Ruth stuff. All I know is that the overarching theory that I have gets rid of the dimensional aspect of the show. So
if he's just evil,
if he's just an evil creature, that means he's just lying to everyone. And he I guess I'll just get into it a little bit now, but I just think here I actually wrote down all my Henry stuff on one thing. I gotta find it. Oh, I forgot to mention this too. Going back to reading this week, I was reading a rock and roll magazine from 1980 because I got it the other day at a record show. This circus magazine from September of 1980 is amazing. Features Mr. Freddie Mercury on the cover, of course.
Sure does.
But I was like, I'm going to read something else besides Stephen King for a little bit. And then what happens when I get to the movie review section? They reference Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Because of course they do.
And it says something like, think Jack Nicholson has been on ice ever since The Shining? Well, guess what? He's in a new movie or something like that. So, anyway, that was way off topic. Okay, so back to the kid theory. Okay. I wrote all of my kid stuff on one thing. I'm just going to go through it now, and we can address it as we go through this, as well as the dimensional stuff.
Okay.
But I said maybe he's a shapeshifter, and that is how he has fooled some people, Ruth in particular. Because of the stuff from or I don't remember which episode it was, but where he walks in to her house and he looks like the dad.
That would have been the queen.
Yeah, that was a few episodes ago. 7, I think. Can't remember.
Yeah. 7.
The other stuff references other things that happen later in this episode, but basically, what I'm trying to say is,
shapeshifter.
I think he's some kind of evil creature that feeds on chaos, and because of that, all of this bad shit happens, and he has some kind of powers that make him able to there's an event that happens in this episode in the jail.
See, I don't think he is like being like mind control, mind powers,
I know you
like
don't.
zapping. I feel like when he's put in a situation, he can emit things. He's
Well,
been
if he's emitting things, then he's got some kind of power, doesn't he?
I feel like maybe he just knows that if he's in, a situation where he's trapped or whatever, and he doesn't want to be there. I mean, besides the
cage.
we never really figured out like what they got, like holy water around this thing. It's like draped in, like what the fuck? How are they containing his evil into that cage? They never talked about that. I mean, is it because it's in a hole and a hole and a hole? Like, is that what's containing it?
I think he's not. Yeah, like you see him in the very early episodes, like touch someone.
Yeah. But see, now he doesn't have to touch anyone. I think the longer he's there, his very presence just causes evil.
Well, I think
he's not supposed to be there.
There's certain people that are, I guess, stronger against his power. This is all a theory, of course. But Henry is one of them. Lacey was one of them. He obviously deteriorated and felt like he needed to off himself. Pangborn, not really sure because he doesn't go near him after that day of the traffic stop. But yeah, anyway, we should get to more of the episode. We'll come back to a little bit of this later.
Maybe Pangborn, Lacey, Deaver, and Pastor Deaver are all the devil. Why does the kid have to be the evil one?
Well,
maybe they're the evil ones.
Maybe, but when you see what
trapping people,
when you see what happens to his face on the bluff later,
that's just because Henry.
Okay, let's move on. The after that bridge scene, the warden is clearing out of the prison.
And And they talk about how 152 prisoners are being moved out the next day.
Yeah, they've been systematically moving them out
Mm-hmm.
ever since Officer Z went on his killing spree. Shawshank is closing down, and Warden sees news of the Wood search on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just really an exposition scene. So then we follow the Warden to her house.
She's got a nice house.
She does have a really nice house. Pretty swanky. She finds shavings on the floor, very similar to ones that we've seen before, the white ones, and a figurine of a woman on the table.
Mm-hmm. In a power suit, too.
Right. So she's very creeped out by this, and we wonder, okay, so has the kid been here?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he has.
He's allowed to fuck with people. He's been trapped in a cage for 27 years, all right?
So
He's allowed.
You think he's just going around messing around?
He can go around and fuck with people, yeah. I mean, she was a bitch to him.
I guess there is the whole revenge thing. I didn't really think about. I just spilled water all over myself by doing that, by the way. I was like, I should get this condensation off the table. And then... Okay, so... Yeah, I think the kid was there.
He was totally there.
And I think that by him touching this thing and she touches this thing, that transfers some fucking evil mojo Jojo together.
Okay, but yeah, he did the same thing at Molly's office, though.
Yeah.
And that didn't do anything bad.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think back of what happened around that time. Well, like I said, I think some people are stronger against it than others. Like Molly, for instance.
She's just good
She has
inside.
the psychic energy, the strong...
See, she's just good inside.
Oh, okay.
The new warden was a bitch. She's not a good person.
And he's gonna make evil shit happen to anyone that has wronged him.
I think...
We're on opposite sides of this, obviously. But so then we go to a flashback in the woods, and it's young Henry and Pastor Deaver. Pastor is accusing Ruth of deceiving him.
Well, yeah, because young Henry acts like he can hear the noise, and he's like, "No, you don't."
Yeah, this is
I know
a
you're
scene.
faking it.
This is more of the scene that they've been talking about.
Yeah.
We've kind of circled around throughout the series of them being in the woods, and he's accusing his pastor is accusing the mom Ruth of lying to him, of lying with Alan Pangborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
knows all about it. Sinning, and says that she will be dead and that he and Henry will be all hunky-dory after that.
Yeah, he references Romans 6:23.
Right.
For the wages of sin, death.
Right. So when you put those things together, that means that he's going to kill Ruth.
Yeah, and
or at least he plans to.
At this point, I was thinking, well, what a good boy he is. He kills his dad because his dad's going to kill his mom. So at this point, I've already convinced myself that Henry's the one who pushed his dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he pushed him.
Yeah.
He totally did it.
I mean, he does run away from him immediately, and, you know.
And this is why Molly snuck into the house and fucking unplugged the thing, because she felt what he felt, which was the fear and then nothing, and they did it together. Because that's how she described it, because he was a bad man.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think all of that stuff happened. So...
Oh, shit.
Damn it. Okay, so we go to the next day in the timeline that is the present.
Yes.
Right? Our current timeline. So a bystander comes by and wakes up Henry.
Yeah, and it's snowing now.
Right. Who is passed out still in the front seat of his car, and there's dead birds everywhere. And Henry leaves all that shit.
Which the kid blames on global warming.
Yeah. He picks up a dead bird and is like, what the fuck's up with this?
He's like, it's all over town.
And
global warming.
Henry just like pulls a asshole move and just backs
leaves.
up and leaves all of that shit in the street.
And he leaves, and there's still some bricks on the hood of his car.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he's got more important places to go at this point. So
fuck their bricks. They shouldn't have had him in the road.
We have to finish out this finale. So Then we see Wendell in the woods. He's apparently taking a shortcut that everybody knows about except for us watching it.
There's a fucking paved road to that RV.
Apparently so, because he's coming from another town and finds that place. So
He was following the hum.
he finds police surrounding the RV, and Willie returns and is standing there over Odin's dead body.
And police cars. Where did they come from?
And also they're not... Exactly, how did the police cars get there?
I don't
And
know.
also, like... Willie's there, but the police are not... They don't have him in handcuffs or anything.
No.
So you get the feeling like, okay, well, he has told them something.
Yeah, he said I didn't do it.
Yeah, but that I think that's a little bit of a plot hole, because police, when you're just standing there and there's a dead body there, like, they don't just...
Well, that's
Or
what
maybe
they
he
did
went
with
to
Henry.
town. Maybe he went to town, got them. This explains it. Okay. He went to town. When I'm just making this up, by the way. Willie went to town. He's like, officers, I know where an RV and a dead black man are. He's stabbed in the face. Let's go get it. And they're like, okay, weirdo, let's go.
Which he had to walk there because he couldn't drive. 'Cause
Yeah.
the RV
Listen, I don't know.
Okay, but all I'm saying is that they let Henry leave the scene of a crime
Hmm.
when he was a suspect.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, Henry has...
I mean, the cops here are not that great.
No, they're not. And also,
It all went
like,
downhill after Alan.
they are very accusatory of Henry, or accusing, I should say, of Henry later in the episode, but they're not the best policemen in the world either,
No.
so they got no room to talk.
No.
Okay, so then we go to Ruth's house, and Molly's there, and Henry gets home. And he's like, hey, Molly, what the hell are you doing here?
I know. How nice of him, right? Like,
It's like, well, haven't you been hanging out with her all the time?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So anyway, Henry is very confused, and Molly tells Henry the kid came to her. Henry thinks that he memorized all the old family stuff in the garage, which seems impossible, but...
that was a lot of shit.
Yeah, and at this point, we don't know whether the kid is like some kind of evil creature or not.
That poor kid watched home movies of his family, and it wasn't him.
Yeah, I mean, that would be just awful to have to sit there through hours
Just
and hours.
see that you've just been completely replaced.
Well, then also, like, he has to listen to all that audio.
yeah.
He has to listen to like thousands of podcasts before podcasts existed of just a dude talking about how he can't figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sliced between this, we see the kid walking in the woods, and he's
He's walking to Harmony Hill Cemetery.
that's right. He tells him to meet him at Harmony Hill, and that's where he's on his way to.
Yeah.
Then Molly says the door might be closing. So she's very urgent with Henry, but he's still not,
Yeah, because she's saying he's just a magnet for bad things.
Right.
And that it was the same for him when
Yeah,
he was over there. And that she's believing the kid.
Right. She's accepting his story
As you
all
should.
the way through. I don't think so. Listen, last episode, I would have agreed with you, but after some shit goes down in this episode, I don't. Sorry to say. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So then Henry's house gets a phone call. And we go to...
Which, good for Ruth. She did not tell him where he was going.
Right.
Because she was like, you're going to fucking turn him in.
Right.
And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, so Wendell is apparently at the police station. And that's where we go.
Because Father of the Year doesn't know where the kid is. He's just out getting stabbed.
Well, listen, he didn't know he got off the bus. How is he supposed to know he got off the bus?
I don't know, but while his kid was running around loose, he was getting stabbed.
Well, he
and
was
breaking and entering. He was doing his own B&E.
and also like taking a nap in the car after he got hit with birds. I mean, that's a little
It's not
out
really
of his
a nap.
control.
It's more like concussion, passed
Yeah.
out.
Where's his airbags? You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
shit. Where were the airbags?
He just smashes that on the fucking... Anyway.
It's a bad car. Don't get that one.
No, I don't remember what kind of car he drives, but anyway, it's probably a sponsored vehicle of some kind for this show, for Hulu.
I wouldn't sponsor it.
Wendell tells Henry he hears a sound now, and the hard-ass female chief shows photo of Odin, dead, I guess, right? And Willie is the eyewitness to the argument that Willie is making up that they had.
He completely forgot about the fact that we trapped him in a.
Well, no, he's
trapped him in the RV.
He's making this up so that Henry will be taking the fall because.
So maybe
Willie,
he did kill him.
Henry?
Culkin kid, Willie.
Yeah, exactly. Willie could still be the guy who killed Odin. We'd never figure out who killed Odin.
No.
I'm leaning more towards the kid, but that's only based on some other stuff that happens. But he's trying to get Henry to take the fall because Willie knows that the entire town thinks that Henry's guilty for everything that he's ever done.
Yeah, because if you don't blame Henry now and pin it on him, then Henry can come back around and say, well, they kidnapped me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. So, when that reveal happens that Willie is trying to get Henry to take the fall, I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Now Henry's going to go to jail, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Nope.
Which is a total left turn from where I thought we were going to go with this episode, because we're already almost halfway through it.
I know, and I was like, where is the resolution? Where are they going with this?
I thought we were getting the whole interdimensional switcheroo episode.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, sorry to say. Anyway, the warden is at Molly's now.
Yeah. She's like, where is he?
She's asking about the kid, right? Which is not something she's done before.
No.
But she shows the chess piece figurine thing that the kid, we assume, made. And she says he's the fucking devil.
Yeah, she says Lacey was right.
Yeah, but she's very, very, like, out of sorts. You could tell
Well, all of a sudden, as soon as she says he's the devil, she gets a weird look on her face.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like as soon as she says that, it's like something turned on. Yeah.
Excuse me. And then immediately she turns around and walks right in front of the Shawshank bus.
I mean...
the Shawshank prison bus.
How, like...
and then it cut to commercial. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, that's just... It's
I totally
so
didn't
poetic.
see that coming.
But it was just badass. Out of all the things that could have slammed into her.
And also, we talked about, the last couple of episodes, like, who's going to get their story wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, there's her story.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, there's one less story to wrap up in this episode.
Yeah.
But she's one of these kind of side characters that I thought, like, well, we might not even find out what happens to whoever.
Yeah.
But it turns out we get that one is wrapped up. That one is clean and ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
and do you think... Okay, so...
I thought we were going to get more death after this happened, though. I thought for sure more people are dying in this episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people did die. But so the night before, when she was talking to the officer, they were talking about, the 100 and whatever, 52 prisoners that they were moving. So I guess all 152 were on that bus.
No, they're like in the process. I think like that day. Because you can't fit 152 people on a bus.
No, but what happens later in the town makes you think that there's a lot of them out there.
You mean like running? Okay, so yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I feel like shit just kind of goes haywire, and they don't necessarily say it's everybody. Mm-hmm. It's just the prisoners that are wreaking havoc. I think, like, as soon as the prisoners start wreaking havoc, everybody's like, fuck, And you don't really see the chaos spread. You just, like, see it from above.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I think that getting the prisoners out is a process of a few different buses over the course of the day. And this unlucky group of prisoners just happen to be on the bus that gets stuck running over their warden.
I know, and then they come back from commercial break because I don't have commercials, but it stopped being black for that that moment. Pause was gone, and then you just see you're still trapped under the bus.
Yeah. So let's see,
and it's been 2 hours.
Right.
That was funny. Okay. Yeah.
Let's see, where was I at? Okay, so the hard-ass chief lady shows Henry the case against him in the interrogation room. Mm-hmm. He asks for his phone call.
Yeah, she
And-
says, "You're a lawyer. Why are you waiting for another one?"
right, which is a good line.
Yeah.
He calls Molly, of course. She shows him the warden's figurine that she just conveniently left with Molly. And that's where I kind of am wondering, did the kid trigger the warden's death because of the figurine thing? Then Henry asks Molly to get Wendell to Boston. Henry thinks that Henry is pretty much done for. He's a cooked goose, and he's going to be staying in Castle Rock a lot longer than he expected because he's going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
At least jail in the meantime. And Molly says, what did she say? She says Harmony Hill, the
She
cemetery?
turns around and tells him Harmony Hill. That's
Oh,
where
yeah.
he'll be.
So she doesn't really, like, the person comes in and cuts off the interview. So she just turns around and says, Harmony Hill.
Yeah, because she's not sure if the kid's evil or not.
Yeah. So I think because of their connection, he's able to kind of suss out what she means. You know what I mean?
So,
But it's not like he's going to be able to go there anyway.
No, he's on the police. But
Yeah.
I have a problem with the whole, like, did the kid transfer some evil with that chess piece? Because
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I guess so. But then why would he transfer evil to Officer Z? You know, and make him go on, because like they fist bump, so they did touch at some point in time. But it was Henry's phone call, his voicemail, that made Officer Z snap and go on that fucking shooting spree. Henry's the evil one. He came back into town and everything got fucked up.
I think that Officer Z was merely the person that the kid used
The
to
vessel?
take care of the rest of the people in the prison that he didn't like. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of security officers that are all
Officer
treating
Z
him
didn't
like
like
shit.
him either.
What's that?
I said Officer Z didn't like him either.
No, but I mean, so he's the perfect person, and of course, Officer Z's coming to him and being like, "Hey, I can help you out" and stuff like that. So he's the easy target, just like Henry ends up being. You know what I'm saying? Like the kid gets Henry to come to him, and then now he's the easiest.
Knows him to come to him. Lacey told him to ask for Henry Deaver, and all the kid did was say his name, which was his own name.
But the kid knows Henry's name, so asks for him because he's like, okay, well, he's the next person that's going to be able to get me out of this cage.
No,
And
he
the-
says Henry
and gives me-
Deaver because it's his own name.
I'm going to strongly disagree. I'm going to have to strongly disagree. It's okay, though.
It is okay.
We don't need to agree with
This
every...
episode just frustrated the shit out of me.
Listen,
I was
It frustrated a lot of people.
so upset.
The very first comments I saw on the Stephen King fan website were like, they ruined it with the last episode. I'm like, yeah, just settle down.
But it's not ruined because I feel like they pussied out. Like, how dare they try to do? You know, like the ending did not anger me at all. Like, I'm fine with it. How it ended. It's just
the
really,
amount of untied.
emotionally, it just makes me very sad.
Oh, okay. I think what people's problem is with the unexplained things, and it's like, okay, well, you probably haven't watched as much Stephen King as you think you have then, because there's plenty of stories, and we talked about this last week, that he leaves it ambiguous. He leaves
it just ends it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the major stuff, he at least gives you an ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
they could have just ended this episode just like fade to black, nothing.
Yeah, but they give us some cool stuff.
Yeah, they gave you that extra 10 minutes.
So we'll get to it, though.
Yeah.
We're creeping towards it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so the kid is at the cemetery now.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, between the kid, seeing the kid at the cemetery, we see Henry being led to the jail cell.
Yep.
Cops arrive en masse for the kid. He surrenders.
In the helicopter.
Right. They totally surround him. He surrenders without a fight whatsoever. And as we're leaving, we see a grave of quote unquote Deaver boy,
Okay, so
which I don't understand that.
No. Don't you remember? We talked about this because I thought it was really weird. Several episodes ago when Ruth says, and it was such an offhand comment, Ruth says they had a baby and it died.
Oh, okay.
And I said, who is that baby? And I said, what if the kid's the baby? Remember I said that? Listeners, I said that. I said, what if the kid's the baby?
I don't remember you saying it, but I mean, I had no idea about this. So
he's the baby that dies in this timeline. That's why he's not there. That's why they adopted a son. Because in this timeline, he dies as a baby. So he went to his grave, saw his grave, and got arrested.
Yeah, that is a.
She says they had a baby. That is.
But they don't explain the grave either. They just show it.
Because they already did. Because Ruth made that one offhand comment.
Yeah. But I don't know.
6 episodes ago.
Exactly. I don't know if one offhand comment 6 episodes ago is enough explanation.
It totally.
Not for me, it isn't.
It means something in his universe.
Sure,
you know how he is. He throws that shit in and then never talks
Yeah.
about it again. And you're like, well, how does that connect? Well, it did, because on page 690 of his book, he wrote a sentence that says it did.
I'm anxious to hear what listeners think about that, because I got no... I mean...
He is that baby Deaver, and I said that.
That doesn't really fit with what
And if we had an hour, I would find it in my notes.
Well, I forgot to mention this too. We're planning on doing a season wrap-up show with a few other people.
Yeah.
And kind of giving a forum to more than just us to talk about some of these theories and stuff that is left unanswered at the end of this. So
good, I can argue with more people.
Yeah. And also, we're going to hopefully hear from people after this on the boards and see what they think on there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Then we get a scene with Molly and Wendell. She's taking him to Boston, I guess.
Yeah.
Does Molly ask Wendell about the sound in the woods, or does Wendell ask Molly about it?
No,
I think Wendell asks Molly.
she's saying that, this isn't your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe what you're hearing.
Right.
The town is fucked up. And then when she says that, he says, does it have to do with the sound I hear in the
Right.
woods? And then she gives that look of, what?
What you say? So then we go back to the kid arriving at the jail. The kid explains.
How uncomfortable is that, right?
Right. So now this is one of the super interesting scenes between Henry and the kid again that I love so much. The kid explains to Henry that he can't stop it, which is all the crazy shit from happening is what he's referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Henry shows him the chess piece and is like, okay, well, if you're saying you can't stop it, then why are you giving people creepy shit like this?
Because what else is he supposed to do with his time? He's got no job.
Okay, well,
he's
now
got
you're-
no family who knows of him.
But why would he specifically
And all of these people are assholes to him.
But why would he specifically give...
My stomach might be growling on Mike.
Why would he specifically give her the thing and then she dies? That's what the point he's trying to make to him. Is like, okay, well, why are you doing this? And then the kid just looks at him.
Well, maybe Henry needs to stop blaming him and think, well, what if the kid gives me one of those too?
So the kid who is a victim, quote unquote, asks Henry about his cage dream, and Henry does not believe him. You can tell by the way Henry is responding to him that Henry does not believe his story about the interdimensional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid claims the memories Henry had will come back eventually, probably sooner rather than later. Henry asks what his dad would have done if Ruth hadn't moved in his timeline,
mm-hmm.
and he says he would have killed her. And
Romans.
then we reference the Romans passage again, and
they have a moment.
It really matches almost exactly the wood scene in young Henry's memory. So it's like, okay, is Henry starting to remember?
Because that's exactly what his dad had said.
So he's leaning towards it, kind of, but not quite-ish. I don't know. It's all sort of up in the air still about what is actually going on. So, yeah, so we're wondering, like, did Henry finally accept it? Kind of. that's as much as we get from Henry, pretty much. But anyway, Jackie is seen then putting Ruth to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the guards move Henry to the kids' cell.
Yeah.
So that means that there's probably other people coming in. Then the Shawshank guys all come in from the bus.
Yep.
Because there's no place else to put them, I guess. No other buses in town. And they recognize the kid as Nick Cage again, which is awesome. I'm glad they brought that back. Ruth, then we go back to Ruth, and she's holding the king piece, and she sees flashbacks of Alan.
Young Alan,
Yeah.
old Alan.
And that's actually, I believe, the last that we see of Ruth.
Yeah, she just goes to bed.
Uh,
In my mind, when I saw that,
mm,
I was thinking, well, here she goes. She's just going to go pop over into her other timeline where Alan's alive.
well, the way that she lives, it's like she probably is going to be jumping to somewhere, either in this different time part of this timeline or the other one or whatever. It's very hard to explain. Okay, so the kid seems to be causing the prisoners to attack each other after.
Well, they were taunting him.
They were okay.
It.
So exactly. Here's how it could go either way. Is that they're taunting him and they're saying like we're gonna fuck you up, kind of stuff, and then we get a slow zoom in on him. And we just hear them start going kind of nutso in their side of the prison. But then they start attacking each other, not focusing on him anymore. They just start attacking each other.
Well, the one guy attacks the other guy, and it gets him out of the cage or the cell or the jail cell because he's bleeding.
Yeah, there's
so they
total
cause like
anarchy.
a distraction.
There's total anarchy, and it causes distraction. And the security officers are like, we got to get
Police
in there.
officers.
Yeah, they're like, we got to get in there and help him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to die in there if we don't open the cage. So as soon as they do that, they attack all the police officers. All of them escape. We don't really see them escape. We just see
hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
we
then
see
the keys,
attack.
and then the keys to open their cell just slide over in front of the kid.
Exactly. So there's another thing that leans me towards he's causing shit to happen because they just so conveniently slide right to his feet. He
can't have some good luck. He's been in a cage.
So are we chalking all this kid stuff up to luck now?
No, I'm saying that he can make things happen, but kudos for him. He doesn't want to be trapped.
So now you are admitting that he can make things happen.
I'm saying he can make things happen. I don't know if he can I think just him being around is making things happen, and he uses that to his advantage. I don't think he uses it to his advantage.
But see, that implies that he doesn't necessarily have control of it.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't. He said it. He can't control it.
But
being there is fucking everything up.
See, but I think he does.
Yeah, I don't.
And that's why the keys slide right over to him, and that's why they stop yelling at him, and they start fighting each other, and that's why the warden turns around and gets ran over by a bus immediately after he hands
These are all bad people.
But that doesn't mean they're without the ability to redeem themselves in life somehow. He's just killing people.
He wants to go home.
But that doesn't mean he has to kill everyone in the town.
What would you do if you had
Not
been
kill
trapped,
everyone?
If you had been trapped in a cage for 27 years?
I don't think I would.
And you were in Bizarro World where some other person had your exact name and your whole family and all of your friends, and nobody knew you. And you wanted to get back home.
I can honestly say that I don't know what I would do.
So
that's
you
a lot
don't know.
That's a lot of extenuating circumstances.
Right. You don't know if you'd go on a mass murdering spree.
That's true. I don't.
There's a cat.
There's a cat, but that doesn't count as he's minding his own business.
He is. I'm just saying there's a cat.
He's not going to win this, I don't think. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, so
they go upstairs.
The keys glide right over to him. Yeah, I wrote that it's very interesting that he can make shit like this happen, but without Henry, he is hopeless to correct anything. It's like they're two halves of the same whole. So, like, when they get together, he's able to kind of make shit happen the way he wants it to happen. But when Henry's not around, he's not able to.
Well, what about the fire at Juniper Hill? Henry wasn't there for that.
Exactly. Yeah, like when he's not around, it's sort of out of control. But when they're together, there's sort of harmonious thing going on. I don't know. That was just a sort of a theory I had. But I don't know if that fits with any of the other episodes necessarily. But they leave the police station.
Yeah, but they go upstairs.
Right. Oh, yeah, but there's more.
There's a massacre. Everybody's dead. All the police officers are dead.
But Henry's like, before they go upstairs, Henry's like in total shock.
He's freaking out. Yeah. He's being a pussy.
He's just looking at the kid like he is
the devil.
Something else. Right. So then we go upstairs. There's death everywhere. And then Willie is on the ground, and he's either stabbed or gut shot or something like that. Mm-hmm. But he is dying on the floor. And he's trying to tell Henry to not go with him. Mm-hmm. And that's
he just says, don't go out there.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where Henry kind of stops, and he's like trying to comfort him or whatever. And that's where Willie dies. So his story also wrapped up.
Yay! Look at them. Wrapping up stories left and right.
Exactly. But we don't get any explanation of the whole schisma RV. We don't get any.
Nope. None of that.
No closure there. So there's another sort of gripe. That's okay, though. And this is where I wrote, here's the real Castle Rock. Descent into total anarchy everywhere. And destruction. This is exactly what happened in the Dark Half. Or, I'm sorry, this is what happened in Needful Things. Mm-hmm. The entire town starts fucking killing each other. And this is...
See, I thought it was just the prisoners. I looked at it as there's a shit ton of prisoners that just got out.
Well, yeah. See,
and they're going to fuck up the town because they just killed all the police, and who's going to stop them?
I mean, technically, yeah, it is them, and they're spreading out in the town. But once they spread out, the people have to defend themselves, so they're also killing the prisoners too. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that the townspeople are killing each other yet. I'm just saying, like, shit goes nuts.
Yeah.
And that is one to happen in any kind of Castle Rock story. Mm-hmm. And I actually think the Needful Things version of destruction of the town was meant to be King killing off the idea of ever using Castle Rock again. And of course, here we are.
Yep.
He didn't write this, though, so that's technical. But anyway.
He executive produces.
Exactly. He's making lots of money off of it, pretty much. So then we get odd flashes exactly like the Henry dad chase scene. And the kid is saying the same things that...
But see,
Deaver
he's
said?
not saying it in a mean... See, he's just trying to be like, I'm not here to kill you. I literally just want to go back home. The problem is that he's saying the exact same thing that Crazy Deaver said to Henry when he was younger. Mm-hmm. Of, don't want to hurt you, you know. But
and why do you think that is?
You can say I don't want to hurt you to people and not be
but
the same person.
They're showing them back and forth show you.
The reason why they're doing that is because it's fucking with Henry's brain, and now he has no idea what is right and wrong anymore.
Well, yeah, it's fucking with us watching it too, but...
No, it's not. I am on a very clear path.
Sure. But I think the intention is to show you that they're more exactly alike than we previously thought.
Because they're the same person. Henry and Henry.
No, it's Deaver and the kid.
He only said that because his dad said it to him in his reality.
I mean, explain that further, if you can.
Because they continuously say the same things together, like the Romans thing. Mm-hmm. Because they had the same conversations with their dad. Like, they both had the same conversations.
Maybe.
Their dad wanted him to hear the sound. Dad was, hating on Ruth, like, and spewing all this crazy nonsense. Like, they both had fathers, like, the same dad, drag them out into the woods to hear this sound and had similar conversations.
Well, I think as this evil shape-shifting creature... He is using that against Henry. He knows what his dad said because he fucking spent all week or whatever listening to those podcasts on those tapes and watching those home movies, he knows exactly how to get into Henry's head.
If somebody was the devil, would they understand VHS tapes?
Yes.
They would understand how to work that?
Yeah, because they're difficult and...
I'm just asking, because somebody who's been trapped in a cage for 27 years that is evil, that is not human at all, like, it's kind of surprising that they can then go research about somebody else.
He has these
for
abilities.
Like an entire week.
He has these abilities that allows him to adapt to humans.
He had a whole other life.
I know. We're so far off in theory land, though. Like, we're just making up stuff. Okay, let's get back to this. That's where I wrote, and where we're getting the odd flashes between the two and the chasing. That's where I wrote that I kind of knew this is where we didn't end up, the kid and Henry in the bluff somehow. I thought it was going to be the interdimensional switcheroo. Mm-hmm. It's not. Quiet you. It's not that. So the sound is intensifying. We get more freaking birds.
Mm-hmm. A lot of birds. I know.
Okay, this is an interruption. Will you stop it? You're going to get sprayed. Please stop it.
He just wants to win his treats.
So then we see young Henry uses Danny's hiding the footprints trick from The Shining.
Yeah.
And this is a flashback back to when Deaver
running.
is chasing him through the woods, and he's got further ahead far enough to where he can use that shining maze.
Yeah, because he
trick.
runs all the way to the cliff edge.
Right.
And then starts stepping in his tracks backwards.
So then Deaver gets to the cliff's edge, and young Henry pushes his dad off the bluff, and
we see birds again doing like a weird cyclone motion.
Yeah. So we're wondering, like, is that the doorway that we're talking about? Is that why the birds are all around this area? And you'll have to remind me exactly what happens here. But does Henry disappear at this point?
It almost looks like it because you see
it's like a flash or something.
Well, they change angles, so it's kind of hard to tell if they're trying to say like he disappeared or if it's just the cliff's edge.
So we're getting mixed messages here.
I feel like that's probably where he disappeared. Like as soon as he pushed his dad off the cliff, like he disappeared somehow into the other dimension.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy the whole dimension thing still.
Well, where did he go?
I don't know. And I don't know if he even necessarily disappeared because I'm watching it and I'm like, I have to ask you if he disappeared because I can't even tell if he does or not.
But where did he go?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, he didn't have frostbite. We established that way earlier on. I don't know. I don't know where he went.
It's because he
Maybe
went
he did.
to the other dimension.
Maybe there's another dimension and there's an evil creature. Maybe we got all of it. It's a whole smorgasbord.
I feel like poor Skarsgård is getting a bad rap just because he was Pennywise and he's an evil creature and like
I
he
don't
just
think
is
no.
only an evil creature now.
I didn't
Poor guy.
That's not why I decided that.
He's just trying to live his life being Henry Deaver.
Okay, so wait a second.
So this is when we see.
No, we didn't mention earlier. We didn't mention this definitely moment that we have to mention. Before, right after Willie dies, it's Henry and the kid in the police station. They're the only ones that are in that room together.
Well, everybody else is dead.
Yeah, exactly. Henry looks at him and says, "You did this, right?" Mm-hmm. I think he says that exact line.
Yeah,
you
he
did
does.
This. And the kid pulls a gun on him.
Because he wants to go home.
No, here's what
No.
He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't say, "I just want to go home," like a normal person would. He pulls a gun on him after he says the line, "You did this."
He already had the gun.
I feel like him pulling a gun on Henry is an admission of guilt.
No, he already had that gun. He knew that motherfucking Henry was not going to go because he is thick as shit in the skull and does not believe anything.
I mean,
and was like, if this motherfucker's going to find me my portal to get me home, my door in the woods, like, I got to put a gun on him.
I feel like
otherwise he's not going to go.
it could go. You're right that it could go either way, but I strongly feel like
No, because
him pulling the gun is and not saying and not
Nope.
responding to his question at all, merely pulling the gun and saying, "You're damn right." He didn't say this, but by him pulling a gun, it's like saying, "Yes, I did.
No.
Now you are going to come with me, or I'm going to kill you right here."
No, he's not going to kill him. He never wanted to kill Henry. Henry's his only ticket back home because he's the one who can find the door. The reason why he didn't answer him is because that was a stupid question. He didn't need to respond to "you did this" because that was just stupid.
All right.
He's like, "How dare you? We've been through this."
He didn't even say that. Okay, so yeah, young Henry pushes his dad off the bluff. Henry wrestles the gun away from the kid.
Well, they both look up and see a helicopter flying over.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that's when he tackles the kid and wrestles the gun away and then
Yeah,
points
they're
it
out
at
in the
him.
woods now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
And that's when he sees the split second of the monster face. But I think that's just because Henry's so close to the dimension lines that he's not seeing straight.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He's not seeing straight.
I think he's like a shape-shifting monster.
No.
And and that he looks like he does. You got to admit this though. He looks like a dead version or like a halfway changed version of Pastor Deaver. His face definitely looks like Pastor Deaver in that moment. There's nobody else it looks like. Yes?
I mean, it's a very deformed. I'm trying to think of why I would think that it would be like that. I was just trying to think.
You're trying to think of an excuse to get it to. I mean, why else would he be? Why?
Because his
why
dad
would his
was a
face
monster.
change? Because his dad was a monster. His dad wasn't a literal monster.
His dad was. He was going to kill his mom.
That just means he's
That makes you a monster.
a warped serial killer guy. Not
Makes him a monster.
It doesn't make him a shapeshifter.
If I killed somebody, I wouldn't be a monster.
People would call you a monster, but that doesn't mean you're like in
Well,
the Twilight Zone.
I'm just saying, he's all effed up in the brain. Like, he doesn't know what he's seeing. He's seeing, like, the weird bird thing. He's hearing the noises. The trees are groaning again. Like, everything's
Well, but then
weird.
everybody's
All of
seeing the
his-
bird stuff
All of
go
his
on.
senses are just distorted. He doesn't know what's going on.
You're doing a good job of
Thank
explaining
you.
this away,
Thank you.
but it's wrong.
It's not wrong.
So let's just cut that off there, saying that you're wrong, and that we move 1 year later.
Which I feel like
so
is
glad I got the
kind
last
of
word on that.
a cop out
What's that?
to be like
The time
1
skip?
year later.
Well, they don't show what happens.
No,
in
and we
between,
discussed
so-
this. We discussed Nick and I discussed this last night.
Mhm.
And the only thing I can think of is he totally, when the new cops came into town, because all the old cops were killed.
Mhm.
So when the new cops from the surrounding town came in, Henry must have been like, "No, I've just been chilling at home all night. I don't know what's going on in town, but it seems crazy." And they're like, "All right, thanks, Mr. Deaver," and then peaced out because he's not in jail. He's still practicing law. Like,
Well, here's the thing: is that we assume the entire police force is killed.
right. So nobody knew that he was in jail.
Exactly. So he
So
gets
he's
off.
fine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was
Yeah.
just like, "No, I was not there. I
Right.
never saw anything."
Yeah. So that it worked out pretty nicely for him. It's convenient.
Jerk. What a jerk. He's such a jerk.
So we go to the jerk, and he's helping someone.
How
So
dare
very
you.
unjerk-like of him. Outside of court, and he's now practicing property law. So that's a little nicer kind of job than he had before. Then we go to Ruth's house, and it's Christmas time. And Wendell visits Henry at Ruth's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see, he checks Molly's. And Molly is visiting her grandma. Right?
Yeah, she now lives in the Keys and is a real estate agent.
Right.
But she still looks like she's dressed for Maine. Did you see? She was totally out of character, like the way she was dressed.
Are you sure she's not still up in...
No,
Castle Rock?
because they showed a commercial on TV when she was chilling with her grandma
Yeah.
for real estate in the Keys.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's selling real estate out of town.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She hasn't adjusted to the lifestyle. She still looks like
No, I mean like
she's moody.
she's selling, even though she doesn't live in the Keys.
Oh no!
She's selling...
Well, no, because Henry told her to leave the town and never come back. So
Oh.
I'm assuming she's in
that
Florida
makes sense
now.
then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henry then visits Alan and now Ruth's gravesite. Apparently, she died only 4 months after Alan did. So very
but
short amount
in the
of time.
future, we're not there yet. She died February of 2019.
February.
Because Alan died October of 2018.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
I didn't notice
Ruth
that it was a
died
different
February
year.
13th, 2019.
Got it. Okay, so yeah, so that sucks that Ruth died, but you know, it kind of is a fitting end for her story though, because
Did she die, or did she
gets
just go over to the other dimension?
yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
I'm telling you, this whole Ruth thing is just blowing. I
don't know.
can't.
That's the only tie that I still have that makes me believe possibly the other dimension thing. Okay, so then we get some narration from Henry, and he says, everyone has a story, a cage of their own making. Maybe something turned you into a monster. Maybe you were a monster all along.
See, he was a monster all along. Henry.
No, he's talking about the kid.
No, he's talking
That's
about
who
himself. See, this is the thing.
You think he's referring to himself?
That's what I'm saying. He is so messed up in his brain now that he does not realize
you're messed up in the
he's
brain.
talking about himself. No, I guarantee other people will see this.
Maybe.
Other people will side with the kid.
I think it's a pretty far stretch to think that a lot of people will. But, okay. I wish people could see Debbie. Her arms are crossed. Her body language is like,
just so
no.
angry.
Okay, so then we go back to Shawshank. Henry goes down to the basement of the basement.
I was so mad.
The kid is back in the cage.
Back in his sweats, too. Like, couldn't even leave him in better clothes.
Nope. But he does bring him a Christmas present. Burger and fries.
That is going to fuck up his stomach. He's going to have the shits in that cage so hard.
There's a box of some kind in
I know,
there.
but I'm just saying. Can
Or a
you
bucket.
imagine how badly that would mess with your stomach?
If he's a monster, though, it doesn't really matter.
It does matter. He's not a monster.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it does matter, even though he is a monster.
He's not a monster.
I think he is. So, so by seeing this Christmas gift, Henry's not totally without mercy. You got to admit that. The kid questions Henry at every turn of this thing here. Says that he has doubts in Henry in what he's chosen to do, right? And he says that Lacey said this to him, is that you forget which side of the bars you're on after long enough.
He's like, how long are we going to do this?
Yeah, and he says, look how it turned out for Lacey. So he's really, really, really rubbing it in like, you're going to turn out just like him. You should just let me out.
Yeah, because what else does he have going for him?
Yeah, but, okay.
He's getting locked into a cage again for possibly another 27 years. He can throw in a dig.
All of this stuff that you're trying to posit, I think he would be a little more emotionally crippled. Like, I think that he would be showing more emotion than he is right now if he was legit. He would be begging Henry to let him out. He wouldn't be like...
No, because he begged for the first 27 years.
I don't think he did.
He's resolved now, because when Lacey was going to shoot him, he was like, do it.
I don't think we ever saw him, like, show really any type of emotion at all.
No, because that would have happened in the beginning. Remember when he was screaming to be let out of the trunk of the car? Like, he did not want to be there. I feel like he's been in the cage for so long that he's just like, whatever.
Well, I think that when he was in the trunk, he's just yelling because he knows there's another person there, and maybe he can trick them into letting him out.
No, he's yelling because he just got thrown in a trunk.
I mean, yeah, there's that too.
He was just living the best life ever on the other side.
So, the kid's bullshit doesn't work on Henry. Bullshit being my thoughts on it. We see a slow pan over the kid's face. We hear, as it goes to the credits, we hear a very evil sounding creature noise. Yes, we do. You're just looking at me blankly.
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear that?
No, but I did see the weird sly smile that the kid got on his face.
So
even though, and now we wait again for me to wreak havoc on this town until they finally fucking listen that I shouldn't be here.
No, because he's a monster.
No.
And he knows he has at least trapped one
person. I had no idea
person.
this show was going to tear us apart so badly.
We were so good up until this one.
I really liked you until today.
Okay. Yeah, I think that he's smiling because he knows, even though he's trapped in this cage again, he has trapped one person. He's trapped Henry into being his custodian guy, his watcher or whatever. And that's all he needs to stay connected to the world that he can potentially cause chaos again. That's what I think's going on here.
I know. I feel really sad for you.
I was gonna say, your tone of voice is like, yeah, and it's sad.
I'm gonna start crying because I'm laughing.
It is funny though. So yeah, he likes being here now. He's like, well, I got Henry, so that's all I need really. I'll be out of here. Just give me another 27 years. I'll be out of here again.
I mean, he needs Henry to hear the noise.
Maybe next time we'll get some clown makeup.
He just needs Wendell.
Live in a sewer.
And eat children's arms.
Exactly. So this had to cheer you up, though.
This post-credit scene.
This post-credit
God, I loved
was
it.
the shit.
I loved it so much.
If anybody, and I know like there is people already griping about the last episode, that's fine. There is a lot of untied stuff at the end, so of course people are going to be like, meh, you know. But if you didn't like this post-credit Jackie scene, you got no heart. No soul.
No love.
No love. And we needed this because we needed some kind of wrap-up to Jackie. We had to wrap up to seemingly everyone, almost everyone. So in this post-credit scene, she is trying to explain her story to a kid who's off camera for a little bit.
No, she's writing a book.
Right, but she's explaining it. She's explaining the premise to him, pretty much. And he doesn't get it. He's like, why is this interesting?
It's like a horror story.
Yeah. And it's very funny. And she names it The Overlooked.
Just Overlooked.
Yeah. And it's like...
Which as soon as she said that, I was like, ha!
It's a very cheesy title, for sure.
And Nick goes, what? And I go, The Overlook Hotel.
He's like, who's Overlooked? And she's like, who do you think? You know? So, anyway,
And she said she's going to go west for inspiration.
Well, I think she's going to go to the Overlook.
Because she's got to go where it was started to finish the book.
So, I wrote next season's story. If so, yes. It won't be because it would not be a Castle Rock story if that was the case.
Also, when Easter egg, I had a feeling the sticker she had on her laptop meant something because it was for a radio station. And
you know what? It might be King's radio.
It is
station.
when I watched the making of the episode. It's for his WKIT station.
I would so listen to that radio station all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's still going. I think it is.
They acted like it was.
I'm pretty sure they bought, they bought the radio station and ran it themselves for a long time, and then they eventually handed it off to some people that are still running it. I think. But the Kings are super charitable in their town. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in Maine in general, they built a giant baseball field and stuff. The King just goes and hangs out at.
Well, because he loves baseball.
Exactly. Okay, so the behind the episode thing. This is what. Let me see. Okay, so this is what the creator said about it. That the final scene is Henry taking over Lacey's place, of course, as the custodian of the kid in the cage. And it's very much like King Stories in that it's an ending, but it's also could be a beginning of another story. It leaves it open-ended so that more things could potentially happen. You know what I mean? It's also a jumping off point for a larger tale, you know?
Yes.
And sometimes we get that continuation and other times we don't, you know? But I do love that style of ending when it's written well once in a while it's kind of clunky at the end, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just sort of like, well, this ended up weird, you know. But in
I
my
can tell you a really good example of that.
okay,
Where they tried to leave it open-ended, but also give an ending to something.
yeah,
Dexter.
oh yeah,
He's a fucking lumberjack.
right,
It's like they couldn't commit to it, and you could
Yeah.
tell that they couldn't commit to just killing off his character. So, like, with this ending, it didn't feel that way.
Mhm.
It felt like, oh, we could get more.
yeah.
That's exciting.
In my opinion, I really liked this ending.
I did too.
Even with all the extra stuff that we didn't get, and I'm going to go down the list of kind of stuff that was listed on the fan page. But let's see. Okay, so here's some things that weren't explained.
Okay.
The Molly and Ruth scene of Molly telling her that she left town. We kind of never really get a definite resolution of that.
Well,
We don't know for sure what the explanation of the two worlds is, you know what I mean? Or if there is even two worlds. So that's a big one.
To me, that feels resolved because I've just explained that away as she goes back and forth between the times.
Sure. But
For me, it's resolved.
okay, we'll just move on then. Who Henry really is?
The devil.
I think that it's our Henry, the original Henry, not the kids' version of Henry, not his weird ass story.
You'd
I
rather
think-
have that one be not real, where it was so happy. And everybody's like doing well, and the town's
No.
like, no, you
No,
didn't?
Castle Rock is not happy.
Okay.
I don't care what version he made up. That is not what Castle Rock is.
He didn't make it up.
He did too. Okay,
No.
so were there two worlds? Me, no. You, obviously, yes. But they didn't explain it. So I would love to hear people's theories on all of these things, actually. Just go down the list and answer them for yourselves and write them on the page, please. Jacole, I'm looking at you. Actually, I'm looking at
Me.
Debbie, but I'm imagining it's Jacole. Anyway, did the kid really want to leave, or did his plan of destruction go as planned?
He wanted to leave.
Disagree. I think he just wants chaos. I think he's just a creature that thrives on chaos and death, and he got what he wanted, and then he's back in the cage. He's smiling at the end. He still got what he wanted. Even though he's back in the cage, it doesn't matter to him. He's a fucking immortal creature. He didn't change one bit from the day he got there.
Well, neither did young Henry when he was stuck in his cage.
Yeah, the entire thing is weird. What was the sound? A thinny? A doorway?
Mm-hmm.
You say yes, I say no idea. Did reality repeat itself like Ruth said it did?
I think so.
I mean, I think that the way
If
she
there,
perceives it.
if there's multiple timelines out there, like if there's more than just the one.
Yeah. I think on my side of this, if there isn't different worlds or whatever, two different dimensions, then that's just how she perceives the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
And she really does
she's-
have Alzheimer's.
Right. And she's convinced herself that it's crazier than it actually is. And then, she's become so disconnected from the chess piece stuff
Mm-hmm.
that it takes Molly telling her on the bridge the kid's story to be like, oh, that's different. Okay, I'm in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
I should not jump off this bridge. Okay, and then is the kid pure evil? I say yes.
No.
Well, no, you say no. I say yes. I feel like there's more evidence that he's a pure antagonist on the show.
I feel like you're just
now that we
trying to
get
find
the end.
evidence. You just want him to be evil.
Well, that's because it's correct.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, that does it for that episode. So overall, happy with this episode?
No. So
No. Okay.
I just need to say, I
Yeah.
wrote this down in between everything that was happening because this is just how this episode made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm so dead set on my ideas because I just feel so bad for the kid now.
Yeah.
So I wrote down, poor kid, he did the right thing in his timeline, right? He finds a child trapped in a cage.
He does.
Calls the police. The police come. He tries to help the kid. When the kid says he needs to go to the woods, he actually says, I believe you, child. Let's go to the woods.
Can we pause this for a second?
Mm-hmm.
His words. So you remember you have to take them with a grain of salt. You can't totally trust it.
Anyway, he says...
Okay, so...
he said... So he takes him to the woods, right? Chases him. Somehow falls into the kid's reality. Immediately gets kidnapped himself and put in a cage for 27 years. Finally gets out.
According to him.
Sees the kid all grown up that he rescues, right?
Yeah,
he got out of the cage because his dad in his timeline was fucked up crazy.
Sure, yeah, that's what he said to Molly, but...
And you know what? Our Henry Deaver in this timeline, not even a thank you. Not even a thank you for saving me from being kidnapped for 27 years and putting me back in my own timeline, and it was only 11 days later. Like, no thank you. No thank you for letting me live my life.
Well,
What does he do? He fucking traps his ass in a cage.
Well, there's no time for thank yous when he's pulling a gun on you. He's pulling...
That's because he didn't listen I'm sorry, Lindsay's sleeping. That's because he didn't listen to him.
When his head is changing into some kind of weird dad creature, you think he's going to be like, oh, by the way, thanks.
No, because he's past that. He had his chance. This Henry had his chance. He didn't believe him. He's thick-skulled. So you know what? We got to pull a gun on you to make you take us to the woods so we can get back home. That's what he did.
I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's what happened.
Is it because you love Skarsgård's butt?
No, it's because this show has completely changed my idea on Skarsgård, his character. Like, they made me going from, what the hell is wrong with this kid to, oh my God, this poor guy. Like, he did everything right on his end and got completely screwed over.
I'm sorry. If you lived in Castle Rock, you'd be dead right now because the kid...
No, I'd be killing everybody else, apparently.
No,
I'm
the
just
kid would have killed you.
No. Oh, because I would have touched him?
Well, okay, yeah, definitely.
I'm just saying, why would he kill me?
He would kill you because you have accepted all his massive shoveling of bullshit.
No, you know what? I would have saved him, and he would have been very happy.
And this is coming.
And he would have said thank you.
This is coming from somebody that last episode I believed the kid. I thought for sure we were going for the switcheroo. Okay, here we go. Happy ending. Everybody's going to be fine at the end of this.
No, because
people are going to go back to their other realities. Maybe a couple people are going to die in the process, but we'll get there. The bird's definitely going to die. They'll probably kill themselves.
They did. They
they ran into Henry's thing. We saw more of that. Anyway, okay, so that's a yes or no on this episode.
I liked it. It made me feel really bad for the kid.
And you did have reservations about it.
Mm-hmm.
But not as much to gripe about on the internet.
No, I don't have issues with the way that they did the show.
Yeah, you just don't like the treatment of that character.
I don't like the treatment of the character.
For me, I loved this episode. I thought it was a totally interesting way to go. I did not see it coming, so that's positive points in my estimation. When I judge a show, I like it to go places that I didn't think it was going to go.
Sure.
I'm actually glad they didn't do the switcheroo because that is kind of the easy route, sort of.
Of course, yeah.
That's the happy ending that everybody would have liked, and that's not, like I said last episode, leaving stuff sort of up for debate is also cool and awesome way to go. It definitely is decisive. It makes people not like shit, but it doesn't make me not like shit. It makes me more attracted to stuff.
No, I agree.
Everybody, it's sort of like these superhero things. We finally got a superhero movie that ended terribly, and everybody's like, oh my God, how could they end it like that? And now we have to wait years before we get resolution. Yeah, because it's a drama.
Yeah.
And dramas sometimes don't end how you like it. And tough shit.
Yep.
Tough titty, said the kitty. That brings us to our congratulations to who wins on the cat noises board.
That would be Venom.
That would be Venom by a long shot.
Yeah.
Venom.
Congratulations.
We would congratulate you in person, but I'm a dummy, and I forgot the recording device this week.
I'll congratulate him when I go back home.
Yeah, and then, next time we podcast at your house, whenever the hell that's going to be, I'll give him a pat on the head, and you'll give him some extra treats for this.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what we said what the prize was going to be.
Extra treats for rewarding bad behavior.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of extra treats, we have to do a drawing, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I made this pieces of paper, and I think they're in my backpack. I'm going to go and look in my backpack.
Alrighty.
You talk to the listeners about things.
All right, listeners. So here's the deal. I am right in my assumptions because he's not on mic to disagree with me.
I'm back.
Hi.
I'm going to edit some of that out, I think.
No, I think it was great. I really filled the void well.
Well, you kind of did for half of it. And then then you're like watching me do stuff.
Well, I was helping look.
This episode's almost twice as long as normal. So, listeners, hey, look. You're going to have to wait like almost a month before you get the final season wrap-up group episode. So,
Cherish this one.
Exactly. Maybe listen to it a few times. Really decide whose side you're on this.
I had a lot of opinions. So.
Yeah, and that actual wrap-up show might not happen because of the split-up, I think, between us. I think Debbie's more mad at me than she's letting on right now.
I'm not mad.
We'll see.
We just can't be friends ever again
until you
this.
leave my apartment, and then you can be like, "Fuck you" on the text, passive-aggressive text me. Be like, "Yeah, sure,
unfriended."
Yeah. Okay, so here is the drawing.
Ooh, drum roll.
Yeah, do the drum roll. Do you want to draw it?
Okay.
Okay. Debbie is pulling one name from the bag, and who is the name?
The big winner is Albert.
Albert? Wow. Congratulations, Albert.
Albert
Hofstetter?
Yeah.
Albert H.
Congratulations.
Albert, we're going to send you the Church Creed Memorial Award for audience participation. It is an amazing, gigantic trophy.
Yes.
Except it's kind of small. We're also going to send you some DVDs. We hope you have a DVD player still. It is The Green Mile and 1408 Special Blockbuster Edition. We're also going to buy you something. Whatever you would like, tell us, and we will buy that thing. And we will send it to you.
Within reason.
Yeah, I mean, listen, don't get carried away, Albert. You're our friend. We want you to remain this way. Tell us which side you're on in the fierce debate that we had this episode.
My side.
Don't you want to be on the side that makes more sense?
Don't you
My
want to be on
side?
the winning side?
Winning side?
Winning side.
All right. I
The
didn't know we were...
the right side.
So... You're only right if you're a winner, so
No.
is this sort of a Donald Trumpian thing
Oh,
you
God,
have
no.
going? Oh, God, no.
No, I was thinking more Charlie Sheen winning.
Yeah.
Because he's not crazy either.
No, that's correct. Let's see here. Did I have anything else that I want to mention? Oh, also, I want to say this. The presence of Henry, or the noise or closeness to the bluff, stunted the evil creature's abilities to change into his dad, therefore explaining why we only see a half-changed version of him.
No.
So I just want to throw that in for a little bit of extra sauce at the end.
No.
Make sure people understand that that is the correct way to
Wrong.
view things. We should close this episode out. Okay, so what else do we do at the end of the episode? I don't remember now.
Well, we have no recap for next episode.
Oh, that's right. No recap.
We're not. Yeah. We're not.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. Next time we can do that podcast thing, is the first week of October. So we're going to aim for that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. I still don't even know who's going to be available around that time. It's like a month away, so it's hard to really get people to nail down.
Yeah.
I'd like to get whoever is most enthusiastic about being on the show. So let us know. Everyone still go to the Couch for Watchers page and let us know what you thought of this episode and the entire season overall. We actually forgot to talk about our entire season thoughts, like what we thought overall, the arc of it and everything. Were you happy with the whole thing?
I kind of said, at the beginning, I was one way with the kid, thinking that he was an evil presence, but the series turned it around for me.
Well,
the way they wrote him and the way I perceived it was completely different from the way that you perceived it.
Yeah,
and so for me, it was like a total... completely different from how I went into it.
I went evil all the way up until 9, and then I was like, oh, he might be good. And then 10, it was like, nope, definitely evil. So, obviously, we have different opinions about this, but that's what makes
it a great show.
Exactly.
The fact that they were able to end it with this last episode and cause such a debate with us.
Yeah, and even, we got like a Twilight Zone episode 9, where everything is completely different, and you're like, what the fuck? And then we get a Ruth episode where it's told completely out of order, and it's very disorienting. I mean, they just did a lot of really cool things with the series. I'm excited for it to come back, because it is coming back.
I just have no idea in what capacity it's coming back.
Well, they did say on the behind-the-scenes thing that there will be characters that come back in.
Interesting.
I don't think it's going to be any major
I feel like
ones.
we're going to be following Jackie. Like, we're going to go wherever she goes. Again, she's not going to be a main character. She's just going to be in the sidelines. But I feel like maybe she's like our travel guide.
I would love to see more Jackie.
Like she's our tour guide between the seasons.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for it, whatever it's going to be. For now... check out WatchersOnTheCouch.com for Jimmy and Mike's it's Better Call Saul podcast.
Yes.
And that show's really good this season too. So go and check out their podcast. They joke around a lot just like we do. And they have a really good time and it's fun listen. So check it out. Also, Tim made t-shirts.
He sure did.
We plugged those on the, the Facebook pages and stuff. So check that out if you like to support the show.
And if you like t-shirts.
And if you like Amazon, go to baconandnays.com/Amazon. Click through the link, and that shoots a couple of pennies our way whenever you buy your normal stuff. So thank you, everybody, again, for your entire seasons of listens.
Yes, we appreciate it.
We so appreciate it. And... we will see you next time we podcast. I guess October.
Next time.
October.
We'll see you when we see you.
And this is an awkward ending. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Green bean.
Bye-bye.